This is a big day because there's going to be a lot of activity up on the Hill. Peter Komendowski is joining us from our partnership for a drug-free Iowa because there is a lot of activity involving children that will be happening over in the Rotunda at the Capitol building at about 12:30 this afternoon. In case you're wondering why all the school buses are going over there, hopefully this will explain a little part of that. First of all, thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
So what is going on that we need to talk about?
Well, there's an alliance around the state that brings together prevention agencies and works with school programs and young children to help teach them what to be worried about and what they have to be careful about with drugs and alcohol and things of such. They're bringing together busloads of children from around the state to come to the legislative chambers and meet with their local legislators and talk about the issues that's important. It's sort of a way to mentor young leaders and to give children a voice with our legislators about the things they see in their schools and their community.
Okay, so,
I just say during the break you were talking about there's a lot of talk of marijuana and things like that in the legislation, and that's kind of affecting what kids are talking about in schools. How does that work together, and what are they going to be saying as they head to the Capitol today?
Actually, they're seeing a lot of things. Number one, we see children getting really scared hearing about things like an epidemic from heroin, because we've seen this strong correlation between prescription drug abuse and heroin abuse. And just recently, the stats came out that prescription drugs and heroin have killed more people in America last year than auto accidents.
And that's a big number.
That's a big, big number. So children hear this, they get scared. And children are people we try to protect and give them a chance to grow. And then in Iowa, there's been an ongoing sort of legislative battle for what we call marijuana and the medical aspects of marijuana. So they're getting confused. They're going, well, is marijuana good or is it bad? Are prescription medications good or bad? So the children in their healthcare classes and with prevention agencies have been studying these different issues, just like studying modern politics or something, and they think it's so important that they're coming to the Capitol to talk to our legislators and say, hey, please protect us as best you can so that we know what we need to do as we live. It's sort of cool. But you were seeing, when I was their age, we didn't even know these things existed. And with the internet and the media and all this great knowledge flowing out there, not only are they being subjected to more stuff, but they're learning to deal with it and sort it out. And hopefully working with legislators will take them to that level of learning too.
What is your biggest concern?
Well, we see that we love to see medicines develop to help people that need help. And we see marijuana product-based medicines being developed by the FDA, and there were clinical trials at University of Iowa hospitals.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And it looks like right now the target is that there will be a CBD-derived drug on the market by 2017. That's what we're hearing. Well, in the legislature, there's a huge push to try and create a marijuana growing and CBD production business in Iowa, which seems a little bit redundant, because if the FDA and pharmaceutical companies are going to come out with this, we're never going to catch up to them. It'll take us years and millions of dollars to implement something like this.
Well, but this is something that people could grow in Iowa and make money from, and these plants don't produce THC, they produce CBD.
Actually, we just looked at the statistics. The average plant grown in America commercially with the intention of being CBD has grown in its greatest potency THC. So what we're seeing is that the talk is that, hey, this is medicine, but the reality is selling the drug for recreational use is where the money is. And the medicine that's going to come down the pipeline through doctors and pharmaceutical companies is not going to be grown here. We don't have a market. If we started to develop that market with all the certifications that we need, it would take 5 to 7 years.
Where's it going to be coming from?
Well, they're going to look at commercial growing operations already in Colorado and California, where they have very large-scale operations and a climate and conditions better suited to growing. What we see is that this drug is being developed, pharmaceutical companies are expecting to be selling it, and that the recreational use of marijuana, where the big money is really the big push behind all this legislation. So, because it's very difficult to discern, if you're growing a marijuana plant for CBD versus a marijuana plant for recreational use, I tell you, we would not be able to tell the difference. So what amounts to is that the FDA has to monitor it, you have to test it, you have to have people watching what's going on, just like we have to monitor crops with chickens for bird flu and for cattle and hogs and beans and corn for different, whether it's bioengineered or whatever products. The same process will have to happen. And so it's sort of an illusion that if we make this happen in a legislature, in 12 months we're going to have this stuff hitting the market.
So if we have to monitor the other crops that are in the state of Iowa, why would it be such a big hassle to monitor this new crop?
Well, it's not a big hassle. What we want is the crops to be justified for the use by registered pharmaceutical firms and supervised by the FDA. the legislation that they're looking at basically has an end run around those processes. And those are the organizations that protect our children and our families from the drugs that may hurt us.
So you're not against a drug that's going to hopefully benefit people down the line. You just want to make sure that the right policies are in place so it's done the right way.
I know, speaking for the Alliance and for the partnership, we, ever since the first crack in the door opened that there may be a derivative that works, we've been proponents of having pharmaceutical companies and clinical trials done to get the right medicine to market, not to turn this into a business you can start up in your garage, not to be a mail order business from the internet, from China or wherever you might get it, but legitimately. And quite frankly, it's been a successful effort. This drug is going to hit the market. What that effort has done is take the wind out of the sails of people that want to grow recreational marijuana using medical marijuana as the front.
Where does alcohol fit in nowadays with kids and the abuse of alcohol?
Well, I tell you what, it's really bad. It's still a #1 very negative drug. When we look at all drug and substance abuse, 40% of workman's comp claims, 40% of work fatalities relate to some kind of substance abuse, and alcohol is one of the biggest ones. But the efforts of Iowa coalitions, especially prevention agencies throughout the state, have been so good that Iowa's actually reducing youth alcohol use. And now here's the interesting thing. When you're doing a good job on that, there's still a thirst for children to try stuff. So as we're talking about marijuana might be medicine, they're thinking medicine is the same as recreational. It's hard for them to discern. So now we're seeing more children starting to use marijuana.
Is there something that can be done to separate the two and don't call the other type of a substance that comes out of this other plant marijuana, call it something else, so they're just to distinguish it from marijuana? Is there any push toward doing that?
You know, it's a great question, and no disrespect to you, that's exactly what our FDA and pharmaceutical companies do. That's why when you see the commercials and you see all the disclaimers, they've studied it, they know what's in it, they know what it can do, they know the benefits, and it's left up to a doctor and a person to determine what the best medicine is. That's the advantage. It's not that, I mean, I would like to think, especially as a cancer survivor, that a lot of things I looked at that were proposed in Mexico and Europe and everywhere else are being looked at legitimately, so that in the future somebody thinking about getting some cure would know that there are more options. And in fact, what we find is there's a vigorous effort to find good medicines. It's just that sometimes people feel like, I want it now. And when you have a good business, probably no different than having a good editorial board and a good staff where you have good research for your show. I mean, if you just said, hey, let's get together and do a new show and jump on tomorrow.
That's kind of what we did.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I blew it.
As we go along.
But you know the drill. That we have this in place, and we'd like to keep it the way it is. And they've done a great job developing the medicine for epilepsy, and we expect it to be on the market in a year, way faster than we think Iowa could ramp up a development and delivery system for the same drugs with the quality controls needed.
Are we going to know any response from the AC4C that's happening today with the kids, or we're just giving them a great opportunity to learn and be with their legislators?
You know, that's a great point. It is a great opportunity, and I believe that the voice of children can very potentially influence what they do. Are we measuring it, and are we putting them to test? No, we want kids to build their relationships with, because these are legislators from their hometowns.
Right.
Yeah, ac4c.org, ac4c.org to get more information. So if you see all the buses that are up near Capitol Hill, you know what's going on. So I'll give you an idea.
Thank you.
There is pdfi.info for more information as well to get some more details on what we were just talking about. Wonderful. Thank you for coming in. I know you're swamped today, so we appreciate your time.
Busy day.
It's off to the Capitol. We have a lot of great legislators working on good stuff, and this is going to come to a good end.
This
There
is
you
awesome.
go.
Thank you so much,
very
sir.
much.
Good to see you.